welcome back to episode number 62 of Last Man In Podcast. I'm Greg in Kenora, and Cam is in Winnipeg. Now, Cam, question for you. Who wears number 62?
In the NHL?
Yeah.
Oh, the most beautiful man of them all, Cole Hagelin, of course.
Yeah, you want to know something funny? Is he would be playing for the New York Rangers right now in the New York versus Winnipeg game. However, he is not here.
They were tired of number 62. They upgraded to 96. Emerson Edom.
I don't care. Carl Hagelin's still better.
He is. He's so awesome. I know he's, like, if Dan were here, actually, no, just in general, what is he, like, 42 points, warranted him $4 million a year for 4 years? Man,
yeah.
I wish I could, like, do okay at work and then just pay me an obscene amount of money.
Yeah, just have, like, one good year of work and just be like, hey, this is for that one good year you had.
Yeah, that's for you.
Like,
it wasn't even, like, amazing.
Sports is the only job where you can have, like, an okay year and people are like, here's all the money for one good year.
Yeah, you know who's going to get... David Price is going to get that.
If your boss, like... if you went to your boss and you're like, hey, I want a bonus for that, like, one really good year, they'd be like, okay, here's one bonus. Now do it again next year, and you might get the same bonus.
Yeah, that's the real world. That's not how sports work. Sports aren't real.
Yeah.
Sports are all fantasy.
Sports are not real. Okay, so we've got lots to talk about, including the Jets have played 4 games. Well, currently playing 1 game right now, but they've played 4 games now this year. And the tale of last year is continuing this year with penalties. We'll talk about who scored for them so far this season, how the goalie situation is turning out, kind of how their young guys have been. And then we'll turn to the mailbag where we've got a few things to touch on, including kind of how certain teams have looked, including Connor McDavid, Jack Eichel, kind of who's winning the McEichel race at the moment. And, you know, continue with some more injuries because there was a lot this week. And I want to play a nice game with Cameron at the end of this podcast, so stay tuned for that.
Excellent. I like games.
Yeah, exactly. I hope you do. Okay, so let's just start. Fine, whatever. Let's just start where we picked up where we ended off last week. The Jets have now played 3 games. They're in the middle of their 4th game against the Rangers, so they had an all-New York swing to start. I guess Boston doesn't really count because Boston's in Massachusetts.
Did you just say massive 2 shits?
I can't say Massachusetts.
Okay, Massachusetts.
Massachusetts.
You could just call it massive 2 shits. That's fine. I'm sure.
Okay. So they started off the season on Thursday against Boston, and for those who don't remember, they were able to beat the Arizona Coyotes last year 6-2, and they seem to have repeated that feat this year against Boston in their season opener on the road. Were able to win 6-2. Lots of little storylines in this game, including Nick Patan's first NHL goal. The team just looking great with Mark Scheifele and Blake Wheeler. And just, they really did look good. Yes, it was against a depleted Boston defensive group where their best defenseman was Adam McQuaid. They didn't have Seidenberg or Chara playing, but still nonetheless were able to score 6 goals against a Vezina goaltender in Tuukka Rask. Cam, did you see any of this game?
I saw none of this game. I only saw the highlights. But actually,
you are not a fan.
Obviously not. I did see though when Louis Eriksson was on the ice, I believe, for one of the 2 goals. Louis Eriksson, back in the day, used to be the shortest guy in goal celebrations, like when they'd hug and all that and get together and like fist bump. Now Louis Eriksson is the tallest guy, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, they finally started the Milan Lucic-less era for Boston, and it's kind of interesting because that Boston team that had that huge edge, you know, the Boston team that essentially out-toughed Vancouver to a Stanley Cup championship in 2011, it is gone now. You know, the old regime of Peter Chiarelli is being changed for the new regime of, spin a wheel and see what happens this week.
Yeah, Mr. Don Crazy Sweeney.
Don Sweeney?
I believe his name's Don Sweeney for the new GM.
Yeah, okay.
I'm glad Don Sweeney's in Boston because he's taking so much heat off of every other, like, crazy GM because he's insane. He depleted their team in like 4 days. 4 days he was like, "Oh yeah, no, we're like perennial playoff contenders and all that." Oh, what? You don't like playoffs? Oh, okay. Goodbye, Milan. Goodbye, Dougie. Oh, what am I going to do with this? Absolutely nothing. All my first round draft picks are going to fail their conditioning test, and I'm going to look like an idiot. And that's what he's done.
He's been a wild card this year. If you've ever seen It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Charlie Day's character, one of the episodes, they try to sell gasoline door to door, and Charlie gets the appointed role of being the wild card because you can't really control him, and that's how I feel Don Sweeney is. He just kind of comes with shit out of his ass. Like in the episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Charlie Day just for some reason cuts the brakes on the van as they go down a hill, and everyone's like, "Well, what the fuck?" So they all start screaming, and that's kind of the way Don Sweeney runs his team. He's just like, "What's the craziest thing I'll do? I'll do that." Next thing you know, he trades Tuukka Rask for Andrew Raycroft.
Oh, please no. Please no. Mo, what if we traded Tuukka for James Reimer and Bernier? Would you be okay with that?
I'd be okay with that. Maybe. Okay.
What do you mean? Get out of town, Tuukka?
I like James Reimer too much.
Oh my God! You trade this? No, you're crazy. You're Don Sweeney.
No, I'm not Don Sweeney. I'm John Ferguson Jr. I trade for all the old guys, all the grizzled veterans. That's all I want. So, and then game 2 was against Winnipeg versus Jurassic Park. Where Winnipeg
they're so old. They suck so bad.
I feel so bad for Corey Schneider. His talent's getting wasted in New Jersey. Like they're so old. They're so old.
You know what? We all laughed when Vancouver traded away like 2 franchise goalies for basically nothing. Vancouver's looking great right now with Bo Horvat.
They're looking good with Bo Horvat, Jared McCann, and then they also have that other guy, Jake Vertanen.
Yeah, I like all those kids. I remember last year.
Lots of good picks. I do want to touch on Vancouver later in the episode, so I want to finish up doing some Winnipeg stuff here. Some house cleaning with Winnipeg, you might say. I don't know why I said house cleaning, but
yeah.
So they played New Jersey, won 3-1. I'll let you know who the goal scorers were in this game. Let's pick it up here. So Hutchinson got the start. Scheifele scored his second. Wheeler scored his second. Former Jet Yuri Tolusti also scored, assisted by former Jet Lee Stepniak and by former Calgary Flame Mike Camilleri, who, yes, he still plays in the NHL and is still getting paid a lot of money to play in the NHL. And then the final goal was from Andrew Ladd. So, kind of a noticeable trend that I noticed in the first 2 games is the big boys are scoring for Winnipeg. Through 2 games alone, Scheifele had 2 goals. Wheeler had 2 goals. Ladd was scoring. The guy that was kind of held off the score sheet was Little. Perreault hadn't put a goal in yet. But overall, the team had looked pretty strong from what I could see. From just watching the first 2 games. Goaltending had been good. Defense had been good. However, Buffalo got roasted on the second goal by, the team was up, I believe, whatever it was, 3-1 at the time. And he's pinching for whatever reason, and it turns into an odd man rush. And I can't remember the player's name for Boston, and I'm going to look it up right now just so I don't sound too stupid. The guy's name was, Pasternak. He comes down the wing, just rifles one high on Pavlik. Pavlik really had no chance on that goal. And it all starts from Buffalo being selfish, in my opinion. And I've watched all 4 games. I haven't liked what I've seen from him at all this season. It's a lot of, he'll come in past the red line, like past the goal line, and he'll be the last guy back where everyone else is hustling back and he's moseying on back because that's where you're supposed to be. Troy Westwood had a hilarious tweet yesterday during the New York Islander game. For those who don't know who Troy Westwood is, he is a local radio personality here in Winnipeg for TSN 1290, and he said they should rename the back check where it should actually be in position check. So I found that pretty funny that he said that because that's basically how Buffalo's played through the first 4 games. It's I'll go up and then let everyone else, cover me because I'm not gonna put the effort into cover. So I don't know, Cam. Have you watched anything through even
The
up to
only
today?
game I've watched was I watched the whole Islanders game, and I was gonna comment. Just I know you're gonna lead into it, so I'll wait for it. But Dustin Byfuglien, ever since you pointed out in playoffs, Dustin Byfuglien. I guess I didn't notice it before, but in playoffs you can key in on things just because it's more intense. How he poke or the forward will lure him into the blue line, like up at the blue line, and then they'll be exposed down low, and it'll be an odd man mini rush from the blue line in. And Dustin Byfuglien has been exploited. He got exploited hard against the Islanders like 3 or 4 times. Where it's solely his guy, and then he leaves whoever who's he been paired with? Oh, Sherratt. He's being paired with Sherratt, and then it makes Sherratt, like everyone yells at Sherratt for looking somewhat dumb, but Sherratt can't cover 3 guys at once, and he's in position. It's Dustin Byfuglien who's out of position. It's not even just back checking. It's when he's in position, they pull him out of position, and he just looks ridiculous.
He's made some really good plays, but for a guy that wants $8 million at the end of the season, he's just looked nothing like an $8 million defenseman. We've talked about this guy on the podcast, like PK Subban, who's a tremendous defenseman, an elite defenseman, probably top 5 in the league for sure, Norris candidate every year. Byfuglien tries to play like him in the sense that tries to do it all. He goes up in the rush. The difference between Dustin Byfuglien and PK Subban is the speed and the skill PK Subban has. PK Subban could be at the red line, like behind the other team's net, and be like second guy back for his team. That is how fast he is, and that's how smart he is to get up. If he goes in the rush, he's back right away. He doesn't let his forwards do it, and I don't know why Byfuglien plays that way. And if you're not one of those people that is along that lines of thinking that you think Byfuglien is back on every play, tape a game on your PVR or take out an old VCR tape and put it in the VCR if you still have one. I don't even know if you can record on DVD, but take a VCR tape and put it in and record the game and watch how Byfuglien plays. If he goes in a rush, he's last guy back almost every time. Sometimes he's in position. When he's in position, he's good. Actually, he's better than good. He's great. But he puts himself out of position too much, and that's been an issue so far. But to move along, Game 3 they played against New York Islanders, which was yesterday, Thanksgiving Monday. And I have a theory of why the Jets stunk up the joint in the first 2 periods. Don't you agree that they just looked bad?
Well, yeah, when you're undisciplined and you take dumb penalties, you're going to look terrible. Namely, I'm just going to point out one play. You can't punch someone in the face and not expect to get a penalty, Dustin.
Or, put a guy into the boards when he's on his knees out of the plate in the corner and not expect to get a penalty.
Yeah, like yesterday I was talking on the phone like while we're watching the game, and my friend who I was talking on the phone with wasn't watching the Jets game, but I kept reacting. I was like, "Oh, another penalty," and he's like, you've said they've gotten 5 penalties, and our phone call was only like 20 minutes long, and the Jets got 5 penalties in that span."
They finished off with 6 in that game.
6.
They had 4 in the game against Boston and only 2 in the game against New Jersey.
They had 8 penalties yesterday.
They had 8. Oh, that's right, but they only had 6 power plays, or only 6 times they were on the power play.
Sorry.
But it's overwhelming the amount of times that they just take dumb penalties. Sure, and today's game is a reflection of kind of sometimes the calls don't go your way. But in that game, they were obvious penalties, and the teams just keeps on doing it, and they're gonna lose. You can just tell when you're playing against a team like the Islanders, whether you want to give them the credit or not, that they're a good team. When you have a guy like John Tavares, who's easily the top 5 best player in the league, one of the top 5 best players in the league, on a power play 5 times in a period, they're going to capitalize. It doesn't matter who he's playing with. They're going to capitalize. And that was the difference in the game. It was the power plays that sunk Winnipeg in the game yesterday. They lost 4-2 to the New York Islanders. Even with Pavelec making 43 saves, at the end of the day, it just wasn't enough. The goal scorers for Toronto, for Winnipeg, were Mark Scheifele getting his 3rd, so he was on pace for 82 this season. And Dustin Byfuglien getting a goal on the power play, which is when he's useful, right? That play on the power play. Other than that, Scheifele's goal was nice once again. Set up by Nikolai Ehlers. That pairing looks fantastic. But I want to touch on that once we finish with today's game with the Rangers. So I'll quickly recap today's game. The game just wrapped up. Winnipeg finished 4-1. With Ehlers getting his first career goal, Brian Little getting a shorthanded goal and a power play goal, and then Mark Stewart finishing off with a empty netter from a lot of hustle from Adam Lowry. So I'm going to go to you, Cam. First of all, what's the biggest positive that you can take out of the 4 games? 3-1 through their first Eastern road, or through their first road trip of the season. They went through New York. You know, you have 2 teams that are probably going to battle for that division all year with the Rangers and the Islanders, and then you have Boston, who no one really knows what they're going to be, and New Jersey, who everyone knows is not going to be great. What do you take away from this road trip? What's your biggest kind of positive to take away as a 3-1 team?
Well, there's 2 positives, I guess. They don't look terrible on the penalty kill, which surprised me because I was really upset when. Well, I wasn't upset, but I was surprised they didn't try a little harder to keep Frolik. And the other positive would be that, Nikolai Ehlers and Mark Scheifele combined for, they touch bases on 2 goals and 2 assists. And Scheifele, someone basically told him this summer, they must have, shoot the puck, you have a hell of a shot. And I think he realized he has a great shot because his 1 goal against the Islanders yesterday was beautiful.
Yeah, well, and he's had those opportunities this season so far. What would be your biggest negative takeaway other than the penalties?
Well, see, I guess that goes hand in hand. Even after the whistle, they're looking very, undisciplined. So, I don't know what else. I would say I'd like to see the forwards maybe in... This sounds crazy. This is nitpicking now. But in the board battle, so the defenseman's pinning their forward. Our forwards, I didn't notice. Maybe I'm watching the wrong things, but our forwards don't go and help out very often, and we could easily win those puck battles. And we're a fast team, so the Jets are a fast team, so they could turn it around and have a breakout a lot faster than the average team if they just helped out a little more in defense. So I'd say just work on their defensive game a little more.
Yeah, and there was an issue in the Boston game where Adam Lowry actually blocked a shot, went off his hand. He went and got attention in the room. People were a little worried that, oh no, is it a broken wrist or broken hand? Everything's fine. He's still playing. I just counted out so far. Ehlers and Scheifele have combined to score 6 points this season through 4 games, which is pretty good just together. But on 2 of Scheifele's goals, Ehlers has been on. Other than that, Ehlers hasn't scored other than his goal today. But together, those 2 look like they found chemistry, and Perreault on that line as well looks great. The thing that I really like about Ehlers and what he's been able to do with his team is his skill set has allowed him to open up the lane for Mark Scheifele to shoot because people are taking his lane down and saying, we can't let this guy past us. So he's able to take the defense and go wide and put it to Scheifele where Scheifele is covered, and you can let that big shot go that he has. And when it works, it's fantastic, and you're going to see a lot of goals this season from those 2 players combining together.
Definitely. I basically, we all knew this going in that Ehlers didn't even have to really earn his top 6 spot. It was given to him based off the moves that they made this offseason. And obviously it's paying dividends now as they're seeing that he can score. But it's I want to see how they do. Obviously the Islanders are a top-end team. I'd love to see if they could keep it up against the Anaheim Ducks and teams like in Chicago's, like teams where you're going to have to play one of them when you're in the playoffs. I want to see how he does against those teams. I'm sure he'll do fine.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm sure he'll do fine as well. The biggest takeaways that I can kind of say so far is this is the first time the Jets have looked like a 4-line team all the way through. Kopp, Patan, Thorburn. Thorburn scored a beautiful goal in Boston. Patan's looked great. He scored his first NHL goal in Boston. And Kopp's looked good as well. All 3 of them combined have looked really, really good. Burmistrov has surprised me so much in his defensive play. That was one knock on him that he had when he was here last time. But his defensive play is so much better this time around, and I've been really happy with it. And the other positive is the goaltending. Like, both Pavlik and Hutchinson have played tremendous so far this season, and really in that thought of, it's Pavlik's spot until he loses it. I don't see him losing it anytime soon. And it looks like the way that he played last year at the end of the season is maybe the Pavlik we have now, which means that there's even more of a goalie issue if the season were to end today and you have Hellebuyck, Comrie, Hutchinson, and Pavlik that are all playing at the top of their games. Who do you get rid of? Who do you keep? So it's definitely interesting to see. But that's definitely the positives. And I guess the only big negative other than penalties for the team so far, to answer my own question, is I guess Brian Little didn't have any offense until today, but a lot of I'm not really sure what else they've done wrong other than maybe just the penalty issue or the complaining from bad calls, and a lot of bad luck has gone their way. Like today, there was an icing call where Chris Kreider shot the puck down the ice into his own end, and the Jets were called for icing. Jets were hemmed in their zone. There are times where it looks like defensively, as you said, Cam, they're hemmed in their zone, and the forwards aren't coming back to help out. And there's just times where that transition isn't quite there, and they make some questionable errors. Like today, Trouba just tried to, Vermeerstrom slowed it down behind the net, and then gave it to Trouba, and Trouba panicked, threw it out in front, and basically gave them a scoring chance. Luckily, they didn't score, but there's that. So, very interesting for sure.
I would say, I mean, I didn't watch the game today, but it's weird to hear about guys like Jacob Trouba panicking and whatnot, considering that we applaud them for their poise and their patience for most of the time. So it's weird to see. It's weird to hear about players like that panicking. But every so often it happens. We get the jitters. But also, New York is a team. They're a top end team. Like I have them going to the Eastern Conference Final. So but that's just me. Like I'm not an expert or anything. But a lot of people think it might be their turn to win. But then again, everyone thinks that about their team as well.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, I think their window is past. They lost that speed Hagelin this year, but their rookie Lundberg has been just unbelievable this year so far. I don't know too much about him, but I still don't think that the New York Rangers are the complete team that everyone thinks they are. They're good, and they have a full season of a great defenseman in Keith Yandel to play with, Ryan McDonough and Mark Stahl, but I still don't think they're the most complete team in the NHL, both on the offensive side and the defensive side. And as for kind of their defensive play, it seems that if a team scores on them, they have a tough time scoring. The Jets put up 4 goals on them tonight, and the Rangers had all the shots in the world. Michael Hutchinson faced a career high in shots this year. His first game ever, there's been more than 40 shots in a game on him, and they weren't able to score. So I think for a Stanley Cup team, you need to be able to have a guy that can for sure score, and Rick Nash should be that guy, but he just hasn't been so far.
Yeah, I would say that was their issue. That's been their issue the last couple of years, is scoring too, which is weird because they did go out and get Rick Nash a couple of years ago, and they thought that would be their scoring problems, or solve them. But obviously, maybe we're looking at it the wrong side, or at least me. Like the Rangers have always had scoring issues, but maybe it's the Jets' emergence of they actually have 4 lines they're rolling and they can all score.
Yeah, and I think the fourth line needs to give Paul Maurice a little bit more confidence for him to be able to roll 4 lines in a tight game, because yesterday they just didn't get any ice time once the third period came around. So I think it's going to take some time for Paul Maurice to get some trust in these guys, but overall, they've been a 4-line team and they've looked great. There hasn't been a time really, like today. It was I believe it was still a 1-goal game, maybe it was a 2-goal game at the time, but he threw the fourth line out there, and Kopp was rushing to the puck, but Tan was able to keep it in. Thorburn was causing havoc, and they were able to hem New York in their zone for a little while, which, even if it's a minute or 45 seconds, that's 45 seconds that you've taken out of their hands, right? And it's all about that possession time. Corsi, if you have the puck and they don't, they can't score. So from that aspect, I think the fourth line has been great in just possession numbers, because Nick Patan can carry the puck. He's a good player, skilled enough to carry it. Andrew Kopp has the ability to get open, find lanes, and Chris Sorwood has the ability to open his own lanes up because, he seems like a good fit for this line. And I think he's going to really make these players look older than they are as the season goes on because he is such a veteran and he's been through so much in his career.
Just to touch on the fourth line, you were saying they didn't get played very much. Andrew Kopp only had 4 minutes and 56 seconds worth of ice time. And then we got Chris Thorburn. He had 5 minutes and 22 seconds of ice time. And then Patan, of course, plays special teams. So we got 9 minutes and 15 seconds of ice time.
And that was yesterday.
No, that's today.
That was today even. Holy moly. Yeah. Eventually we're going to have to roll lines. But once again, it was a close game, right? So Maurice might not want to put these guys out just yet. But I think once he gets a little bit more faith in these guys, then we're going to see emergence of a four-line team. So we'll see. It might be too early to tell if they're going to be a four-line team, but through the first two games, they definitely look like they could be.
I think they already. I mean, they're well on their way. I think we all agree on that for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Without Dan here today, he can't argue with us, so that's perfect.
No, we run the show now. We don't need him.
Screw him. The question that I have for you, Cam, is how much hockey have you watched so far this season?
I have watched about 8 or 9 games, I'd say. I've watched.
Are you a fan of the Los Angeles Kings by chance?
Oh no, I am not. But I watched them get their gosh darn booty smacked by Arizona, and it was awesome.
What do you think of Dustin Brown's dirty hit that he had the other night?
I didn't see that. Who was it in the Arizona? It wasn't in the Arizona game.
I don't know what game it was in, but I can't remember. But he had a hit where he targeted the head, left his feet, and got up high on a play. I have to find the clip. Maybe you can find it later and tweet it out to make the fans understand what I'm talking about. But it almost seems, this was on after we talked about the Rafi Torres incident. It almost seems that certain players have a target on their back. If they do something wrong, boom, they're suspended. And certain players just have this like golden boy-esque feel or golden-esque like reputation that, this is just who I am, like, that they won't get suspended ever. Like, I feel if Duncan Keith does what Rafi Torres does, he doesn't get a suspension.
Duncan Keith tomahawk swung.
Or something like that.
Sorry to interrupt you. I was going to say, fine. Duncan Keith, we were watching that game together, I believe, or we definitely talked about it, where Duncan Keith in the playoffs a couple years ago, Western Conference Final, swung his stick at Jeff Carter's head and did not get suspended.
He didn't swing it at his head. He took it and hooked his mouth like it was a flippin' fishing rod. Like, hooked his mouth.
And by the way, I found that Dustin Brown hit. Are you talking about the one on Logan Couture where he headbutts him and then tackles him?
Logan Couture.
I just watched it. So I have the link. I will tweet it out for sure.
It was Logan Couture. That's who it was.
Did he get suspended for that?
He didn't.
Wow, really? He full on headbutts him right in the face.
Yeah, there wasn't even a hearing, I believe. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, let me know. But that's from what I've heard. That's what I've read on Twitter. Unless everyone on Twitter is wrong, which it very well could be. I was suckered into a article today that wasn't an article. It was clickbait for something, which made me feel so stupid.
Gotta love that clickbait. Hey,
it was like you won't believe what Rafi Torres said about the NHL. I'm like, oh great, I'm gonna read this. And then it was an article. It wasn't even an article. It was an ad for like, oh, don't you hit it when your dick can't get hard? I'm like, thanks, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Family mom of 4 kids.
$1.76 $1.76 a bill. It's like, great. I'm 24 years old. Last thing I need is Viagra, but thank you very much.
But that's like the clickbait where it's like, family mom of 4 discovers secret to losing pounds by the second. And you're like, oh, what? And you click it and you're like, oh no, I didn't want to see all these penises.
all the penises. Yeah, no, clickbait's bad. Unless it's Last Man In podcast, then you click on it.
We don't pay for ads. We're poor.
No, but when we shamelessly promote our podcast on Facebook,
clickbait it. Click it.
It's clickbait.
Do it.
What we should start doing is, you won't believe what happened to this Mark.
Yeah. You won't believe what happens at Mark 1786, and it'll be right now. I
Just
can't.
like a random ad clickbait. Did you know Khloe Kardashian posed nude for certain photographs? But or like I don't know what the big deal is right now. Like what's the big celebrity news right? Oh, Taylor Swift and Calvin Harris, Robin Tug. That's the big news right now on the tabloids.
Okay, yeah, true. I guess from what I've heard. What's that?
I said I don't know.
My dogs are going nuts in the background. Just ignore. Just ignore. They get very excited when they hear about Taylor Swift, Robin Tubbs. No, I don't. If we're going to clear out the people on Taylor Swift and Calvin Harris, allegedly Calvin Harris went to his favorite Thai massage parlor place, and he was in there for 2 hours, and that's it. And then he came out, but apparently they broke up. I can't wait for that Taylor Swift breakup song, Cash Money.
And then somebody said, yeah, Taylor Swift's going to write a breakup song, which Calvin Harris is going to remix to.
Can we please?
They're just going to both profit from it.
Here.
And here's been your shameless clickbait ad.
Perfect. You know what? Here, let's see if Calvin Harris or Taylor Swift ever comes across us. Let's lay down a few beats. Okay, you ready? Taylor Swift. Yeah, I'm kicking it. I'm Taylor Swift. What up?
I thought you were the one, but then you just turned out you liked Robin Tugs.
Woo, 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 do. Done. Millions. Hand them over.
Stick to our day jobs, which is definitely not podcasting or singing. So
No. I'm a host at a karaoke bar. I'm not.
I'm a disappointment to my parents.
Yeah. There you go. We're disappointments. Oh, I love it.
We're a hockey podcast.
We are.
If this is the first time you've tuned in, don't worry. This is what every episode is like.
Yeah. We've been told to our face, people don't. I've been told a lot of people, like, from the people who've told me, they're like, yeah, I like it when you guys banter. And then I've been specifically told by one person, you know this person, they're like, I don't like your podcast because all you do is banter. I don't like it.
I just want to hear about hockey. You know what? How sad is your life that all you want to listen to is hockey when you could listen to awesome stories about Taylor Swift and Calvin Harris getting Robin Tugs, but you won't believe what happened next.
All right. Well, what do we got next, Greg? What's up next? You'll never believe it.
But no, my question to you was, do you think certain players get preferential treatment in the NHL? That, you know, like if Sidney Crosby were to go after a guy to elbow him in the head, would he get suspended?
There's definitely, like, special treatment for sure for the superstars. No question about it. That's like the superstar clause with the captain. I could think of a few other players, maybe not anymore, but back when Ovi got appointed captain, there was a few players that I would have given it to before Ovi. And even right now, how they stripped Andrew Ference of the captaincy in Edmonton to give 4 A's because they don't want to name Taylor Hall captain and then eventually down the road just name Connor McDavid captain when it's like, hey, you can't just give a rookie a captain. I don't like the superstar clause, but there's definitely preferential treatment in the NHL for everything. I like perfect example. Claude Giroux in the playoffs a couple years ago when he blatantly elbowed Dainis Zubris in the head. I think if he got suspended, I believe it was 1 game. I've seen that play happen 3 or 4 times in the regular season. Every single time, it's like guaranteed 3 games. I know it was the playoffs, but I think he got maybe 1, if any, and like he showed intent. He didn't even go for the puck at all. He just ran Dainis Zubris right in the face. And he was a captain and leader of that team. So you tell me why they like. Obviously, there is preferential treatment. We all know this. So it would have been nice to see Dustin Brown get suspended for this because he basically like lineman tackled him. He met him at the line and just drove into him.
Yeah, very true. Future captain Logan Couture. Remember that though. That's future captain.
I thought it's Mini Joe.
It is Mini, but Logan Couture is a future captain.
No,
Jumbo was former captain. Mini Joe is current captain, and Logan Couture is future captain.
All right. I'll hold you to it.
Okay, Cameron. Well, let's just talk about some of the injuries, and then we'll get to McEichel and talk about how their first few weeks have gone in the NHL. So first, I know you have injuries listed there, so go and tell me about them.
Okay, the man on fleek with the most beautiful eyebrows in the NHL, Robbie Fabry, is it correct? Is out indefinitely with a concussion.
It's the eyebrows.
They were jealous of his eyebrow game. It's totally on fleek. They couldn't handle it, and they went after him. Another player out indefinitely with a concussion is Brad Marchand. And then we got a... What's that?
I said that sucks.
That does suck. And then we have LA. Actually, I'm gonna read this title out for you on NHL.com because I had to read it a few times. LA forward King out 8 to 10 weeks after surgery.
Okay.
Oh,
King?
you got it, Dwight King. Okay, I'm dumb,
Dwight
so
King, yeah.
I had to read it like 3 or 4 times. Yeah, he'll miss 8 to 10 weeks after having surgery on his broken foot.
Wow.
So that doesn't look very promising for the LA Kings, and I think Daryl Sutter's the next coach gone, but that's just me. Continuing with injuries, Robin Leonard. Unfortunate, but he's out with the ankle sprain for 6 to 10 weeks.
Man, I'm really sure that Buffalo's happy they traded Michael Neuvirth last year at the trade deadline.
I would just like to say Michael Neuvirth debut for the Flyers, and he got a shutty for the Flyers. Oh, mama. He looking great. I don't care if they were playing Florida. He looked great. They also lost to Florida 7-1 the other night. It was bad. It was so bad. It didn't stop. The Yager bombs were left and right, and they did not stop. It was a fiesta. Yeah, no, that's all I got for injuries. Oh, sorry, go ahead. They're good.
They could be really good. Yeah, so let's get to Connor McDavid, Jack Eichel, and just kind of what have you seen of them so far this season?
I've seen nothing of Connor McDavid, and Jack Eichel. All 2 of them that I know of, have been amazing.
His two snipes have been tremendous. From what I've seen, obviously he's played better, but I think the team around him is personally better. Like I think Evander Kane's a good player, even though that I've trashed him sometimes. I think he's a decent player. Ryan O'Reilly, when he's not running into Tim Hortons, is a usable player. I think that we're losing a bit of Connor McDavid because he's taking some time to gel with Taylor Hall, and now they've actually taken him off of Taylor Hall's line, and he's playing with I'm trying to think of the guy's name, Benoit
Pouliot,
and somebody else. So I think they're like second line he's playing on now, and swap with Nugent Hopkins because there's no chemistry with him and Hall. And as good as Connor McDavid is, like he's fast, he's got a lot of skill, a lot of speed, but it looks like it's going to take him a bit of adjustment time. I'm not sure, but Eichel fits in right away. But it was pointed out to me that Crosby had like 1 goal in his first 20 games in the NHL. So it does take a little bit of time to adapt from playing against teenagers to full-grown adults. So maybe Jack Eichel's had that transition period already because he played in college. He knows what it's like to play against some tougher, older gentlemen. And Connor McDavid's just taking some time to kind of adjust to it because it is a lot different going from junior to pros versus college to pros. You know, we saw Jacob Trouba step up and be able to play it in that sense, in that style. We saw Phil Kessel be able to do it. And just a numerous amount of players have been able to make that jump and make it seamless, where I think it takes a little bit of time for some of these guys who come straight from junior to really adjust. But
that's also because all the players you just named came from NCAA, and you are playing a bit. There is a big gap between players. But also, even leading into the sweepstakes of McDavid and Eichel, a lot of the analysts and people said Jack Eichel he's already like, you could see that he's basically he's a man, like in his body. Connor McDavid, you could still tell even like he was at the baseball game the other day, you could tell you're like, oh yeah, that's a teenager. Jack Eichel walking around, you could tell sure he's a teenager-ish, but his body, he's fully matured already. Like that's his body. He's 6'2", 201 pounds. Mind you, McDavid is 6'1", 195, but McDavid hasn't really... Okay, I'm just talking out of my ass right now, but it seems as though McDavid hasn't really hit the gym or anything like that, like as hard or as intense as Jack Eichel has. But that's also due to the fact that McDavid has been playing a junior schedule, which is a lot like the NHL, where you don't have a lot of time to work out, as opposed to Eichel. When you're playing in college, you only play on the weekends, so you have all week to do weight training.
It can also be bone structure too, though, right? Like McDavid might be more of a like a skinnier bone structure, where he's more of a I'm gonna totally mess this up, but I think it's called an ectomorph, where you've got less fat on your body, less ability to build muscle. Like he's built kind of like Nikolai Ehlers in the sense that long and lanky, where Jack Eichel, he's not short by any means, but he's kind of more built in a sense, where his bones are a little bit bigger and his bone mass takes up a little bit more. The truth is that there are such thing as being big boned. You're just wider bones, broader shoulders, that kind of stuff. Where I think Eichel could be not a power forward, but a solid forward on both ends of the rink, where McDavid's more of just skill, right?
More just skill and speed over power. Yes, most certainly. That's what the NHL is for. You have different players playing different positions and roles on your team.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, as we're talking about just body types, fun fact: Seth Jones is also like us, Greg, in the fact that all three of us were named in Nashville's top 25 most beautiful people.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Yeah, I know. So welcome aboard, Seth. I mean, we've been running the show in Nashville for years. Go ahead, Greg.
I said I believe I was also Time Magazine's Person of the Year one year.
Oh yeah, no, in 2006, everyone, all of us were 2006 Time Magazine's Person of the Year. Correct?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. I'm glad I can put that on the resume.
Please do. If you ever, please do. Oh, hey! I wish I would have mentioned this.
Whoa.
What?
Sorry to interrupt, but little update. Edmonton is currently playing Dallas, and Connor McDavid has a goal.
And so it has begun. The reign of McDavid. It's never gonna end.
There we go. Thought I'd do a quick update because they are playing. And beautiful Jamie Benn also has a goal.
Oh, you mean Greg 2.0?
Greg 1.0. He is older than me.
Oh, Greg 1.0. Do you think way off in the distance, like somehow you guys are related? That'd be sweet.
I'd love to be related to him. He's the best.
I don't have any NHL player that looks like me because I'm so beautiful.
Especially when you've got that huge beard.
Oh yeah, I look like a crazy person.
Yeah. So any final thoughts on McDavid Eichel?
If I were picking a team to build around, I like the snarliness of Eichel. I'll take Eichel.
If I'm picking the team right now that I think is better, I think that, to be honest, Buffalo might be the better built team. I just think that Edmonton has nothing for a bottom six. They have nothing for defense still. Like, I don't think their defense is that great. And they've made questionable decisions. So yeah, I would pick Eichel. I think Eichel's surrounded by better players. Just from top to bottom. Personal opinion, of course, but
no, I'm with you 100%. I'm pretty sure Dan would be with us on this one too. Where just overall, Buffalo, sure they've been bad, but it's not like they have prospects. They just didn't want to rush them in, and they're letting them take their time to develop. And now you're kind of seeing them come to fruition, and they're looking good. Like, they don't look terrible.
I think Ristolainen is better than any defenseman that Edmonton has.
Whoa. Hey, how dare you throw Oscar under the bus like that, okay? He's almost a $5 million man.
Oh, God. The other thing, too, with Buffalo, is that they have a player on that team that was a starting lineup all-star player, something that Edmonton does not have.
Who would that be?
Zemgus Girgensons.
Oh, Zemgus Girgensons. Yeah, well, I wonder if Nikolai Ehlers can make the All-Star game just based off of Denmark's vote.
That would be cool.
You know what? Let's start it now. Ehlers vote for Ehlers. I wish I sounded cooler doing that.
Yeah, me too. So, Cameron, I want to play a game with you.
Do you want to play a game?
I want to play a game.
I want to play a game too. Let's do it. I'll turn the TV on. All right. Am I tied up? What's going on? Where am I?
You cannot have your phone on you. You cannot look any of this up.
I'm talking to you on my phone, so I can't, but perfect.
Okay. First of all, did you know they're coming out with another Paranormal Activity?
Yes, I did, and it looks awesome.
Of course it does to you. Of course it does. Okay. So, today's game show, you were playing for nothing. Maybe a Slurpee. How about that?
Yeah. Perfect. A deal.
Yeah. Name me 10 Arizona Coyotes.
10?
10.
Current lineup.
Current lineup. You cannot look at it.
Perfect. Well, let's see how far I can get. Shane Doan.
Yes.
Mike Smith.
Yes.
Mikhail Bodker.
Yes.
Martin Erat.
I did not know he was there, but okay.
Sweet. They have come on. Matt Stone. Anthony Duclair. Matt Domi.
Yeah.
Oliver Ekman-Larsson.
Yep.
I should know this. Hold on. Don't say... Oh, Cal Chipchura.
Okay.
And, hold on. Tip of the tongue, teeth in the lips. Matt Murphy.
Who the fuck is that?
Or it's Matt or Ryan Murphy, but I think Ryan's in Carolina, so I'm going to go with Matt. Oh, no, wait.
Yes, Matt Murphy.
And they just got that guy, Stephen Elliott, just to cover all my trails. That's 11.
Yeah. You also forgot Martin Hansel, Zbigniew Michalek, and Antoine Vermette. Also, Anders Lindback. It just shows you
really
how there are that. You know, Cameron, I have to admit, the fact that you know all the no-name guys, you know, you couldn't even name Antoine Vermette, couldn't name Martin Hansel, couldn't name Zbigniew Michalek, because they don't matter. This team is so... They're young. I don't know if they're going to be good, but they are young. Well, you said you watched them the other night. What did you think of them?
They look, you know what? They're really good off the turnovers. Off the turnovers, they had so many odd man breaks just because they're such a young and fast team. But where they definitely lost out on was board battles. I don't think they won one of them. Like maybe a handful of them the whole game. But it's just because they're not the biggest team. Like they might be tall and like they might weigh a little bit, but it doesn't seem as though they're very much of a team in terms of like with the Jets, where the Jets are big with board battles and whatnot, but they didn't seem like they wanted to go into the corners and get it. They were playing LA though. LA's kind of feisty, and they do have that crazy person named Milan Lucic on their team that will skate across the ice to elbow you in the face in front of a ref because he's insane.
And they also have another insane person that will freaking linebacker tackle you.
Oh, yeah. He'll get you. Left side, right side, stone side. Sorry.
Question for you. Which team that has a perfect start perfect start up to today more surprising to you? Tampa Bay, Montreal, Detroit, who's 2-0, but I believe they lost today, Nashville, Minnesota, or San Jose, including Vancouver and Arizona. Both have not lost this year.
Who's more surprising?
Who's the most surprising?
San Jose, for sure. I had them written off. Like I didn't think they were even gonna like contest at all. And they made LA, maybe LA's this bad, but they made LA look bad. They looked great. They've looked great too. It's not like I don't think like Martin Jones. I didn't think he had it in him, to be honest. I've never watched a lot of Martin Jones, but I didn't think he was ready to make that step of, you know how, maybe it's just something in LA where they're really good at breeding goaltenders, namely Bernier as well. But where they, what, why are you sighing like that?
I still don't think Bernier is that great of a goaltender. I think that Bernier's a decent goaltender, but his numbers are questionable. He has one win in about 9 games against Montreal in his career. That's all you need to know about Bernier.
So when you play Montreal, put Rhyme Time in net.
You should, because he's excellent, especially in Montreal or in Ottawa. He's really good in both those cities. Now, to me, to answer my own question, Arizona's only played 2 games. Not super surprising. They're 2-0. Detroit's 3-0. I guess that's not really surprising either. They're a good team. But I guess it's showing that it wasn't all Babcock, that the team was actually pretty good there. I think the most surprising team that hasn't lost yet in regulation is Vancouver, because I had Vancouver not necessarily, just being in that jumble of the Pacific Division where we didn't really know what to expect from that division. And they've come out, they've beaten Calgary. They're youngsters, like we said, like Jared McCann has looked good. Bo Horvat's looked good. Jake Virtanen's looked good. This team is gotten younger, and I think with Ryan Miller backing them, I think they can be a very, very good team. And I think a lot of people overlooked them at the start of the year. Now, obviously, you look at this division right now, the Pacific, it'll change a lot between now and, even 10 games in the season. But you have San Jose at 1, Vancouver at 2, Arizona at 3, Calgary 4, Anaheim at 5, Edmonton at 6, and Los Angeles at 7. The only team that's surprising there is the fact that Anaheim hasn't won, but they've only played 2 games, so it's too early to tell, and I know people get all uppity about standings early in the season, but this should kind of correct itself by game 10. But I have to say that I've been surprised with Vancouver so far. I think they've done a good job there so far this season. Definitely are starting to repair the wounds that John Tortorella put in them a couple years ago. So
I think Ryan Miller set a record the other day with his shutout. I'm just trying to figure out what it is.
I wouldn't be able to tell you. I can check it up right now, actually.
I'm trying to find it myself. I'm just trying to figure out what it is. Oh, Ryan Miller earned his 53rd career shutout win, the most all-time in the NHL.
Wow.
Yeah.
More than Martin Brodeur, eh?
Allegedly. I'm going to go check Martin Brodeur right now just to make sure.
I think he had 100 shutouts, Cameron.
Well, it's Vancouver. My bad. Vancouver.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because really, more than Kirk McLean. That's interesting. But yeah, because I think Martin Brodeur's got like 103 or something like that.
125.
Is that what it is?
That is... That's a lot of goddamn shutouts. That's over a season of shutouts.
That's a season and a half of shutouts.
Hey, if anyone's ever going to make a documentary/mockumentary of Martin Brodeur, please call it A Season of No.
A season of no. Just no. Just no. A season of no. I really have nothing else to talk about this podcast other than, if you're a fan of whatever team you're a fan of, don't get all uppity right now. It's the start of the season. Things are going to start settling down. We'll start figuring out what teams are soon enough. Obviously, the only team that we can determine is the best is Winnipeg Jets, because we're Winnipeg Jets podcast, so they're the best team in the NHL. Am I not right, Cam?
Totally. Totes my goats. They're the greatest team ever.
Yep. And they have the best fan base in the world. They don't have any fans who over exaggerate anything. Best fans in hockey. Period. They just took down a Stanley Cup favorite.
Oh yeah. Okay, I see how it is. When's the Jets' next game?
Next game is Friday against Calgary.
Oh, best team. The reign has ended.
The reign has ended. Well, yeah, we can talk about their next week. They play Calgary at home for their home opener on Friday. They play St. Louis at home on Sunday. And by the time next podcast comes around, I don't think they play. They only play twice between now and next podcast.
They'll get some
week off.
Yeah, they'll get some well-earned rest.
Week off. Wow. They play against St. Louis on Sunday, then don't play again until Friday against Tampa Bay at home.
But they did have their first 4 games back-to-back, they played game, space, game. So.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention this, that the reason why they probably came out flat against the Islanders is They spent Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night in New York City.
In New York, there's a
reason why they came out flat in that game, allegedly.
They were looking for the pianos that Alicia Keys was playing on. Alicia's keys they could not find. Wait!
It was a sports podcast.
Greg!
At the 53-minute mark. You'll never guess what happened next.
I wonder if they saw Jigga. Jay-Z.
J. Biebs?
No, Jay-Z.
Jay-Z, maybe.
Oh, that. Speaking of J. Biebs, because I know you know what I'm going to say. Did you see his wee-wee?
What?
Did you see J. Biebs' penis? Dude, it was on the internet.
No, I did not see his penis.
Whoa, Mr. Biebs. Brava, sir.
Bravo, sir. Yeah. Well, he has all the money in the world to make a fake one, so...
No, it's totally OG gangsta. It's real.
Actually, apparently, what happened was when Bruce... No, I'm not going to go there.
Go. Let us have it. You already started.
When Bruce Jenner decided to become a woman...
Oh, you know!
Penis
no!
Add on to Justin Biebers.
You're terrible! We're going to get some PC cops up in here. It's over, Greg. We had a good run. I'd like to say thank you for the listeners. It's over now. We're like a folklore.
Hey, Cam, we don't have to be worried about getting shot. We're in Canada. Police officers are at least normal here.
Hey,
They don't care about...
Did you go, everybody listening who's in Canada / Manitoba, did you go out and vote?
No, because the election is next Monday.
It was advanced voting yesterday, Greg. I didn't go vote because I forgot about it.
I advance voted yesterday, but I'm just saying that the actual election is October 19th.
And we just want to say from everyone here at Last Minute Podcast, if you don't vote Stephen Harper, don't listen. Don't even waste our time. Okay? Because Trudeau's just not ready. And that Mulcair guy looks evil. Okay?
And Tom Mulcair looks like a Bond villain.
Yeah. Oh, man. I saw the trailer for Bond. Dang, it looks good.
It looks really good. You know what movie looks even better?
What's that?
Star Wars Episode 7.
Oh, I know. You know what? It's going to be probably as good, if not better, than number 3.
I hate you so much.
You know what? Comment down below which one's your favorite Star Wars. Send us a tweet, because we all know number 3 is the OG gangster of all of them. And I mean Star Wars Episode 3, not 6. That hunk of pile of junk.
Return of the Jedi was a masterpiece.
Is that number 4?
No, that's number 6. That's Episode 6.
Number 6 is okay, but it doesn't hold a candle up to number 3. When Anakin goes evil and just obliterates all those children, that was my favorite scene. I'm not a crazy person, I swear, guy.
You know my favorite part about Star Wars is when they told the story in the original trilogy and just decided to have CG in the prequels.
Hey, nothing's wrong with that, okay? My favorite character is Jar Jar Binks.
Of course it is.
Okay, well, let's get back onto hockey real quick. Okay. What do you how much would you pay Simone Despres per year?
Is he on the Anaheim Ducks?
They are, and they're great at signing contracts.
I would pay him roughly $1.5 million, maybe, because he hasn't played enough in this NHL.
Well, actually, apparently he had one great work week, and he earned a contract of $18.5 million over 5 years. That's $3.7 million.
They have no money for Hampus Lindholm. What are they going to do with Hampus Lindholm? Sammy Vatanen. This guy is not even one of your mainstays in the defensive court.
They're crazy. I was going to be like, they're ducked, but that was silly.
Who's the Anaheim GM?
That's a good question.
Please check news articles, see if he's missing, and Paul Holmgren has replaced him.
Hey, Paul Holmgren, Hextall's silently locking him up in rooms across the office. Every time he escapes, he puts him in a new one.
Like, who is paying the Anaheim Ducks GM? He's made some of the most ridiculous contracts. The Ryan Kessler one. Now this. What are you doing?
You're
giving up the opportunity to sign guys like Hampus Lindholm now, who's one of the best young defensemen in the league right now.
The GM's name is Bob Murray, and he's also signed that ridiculous Kevin Bieksa contract.
Oh, God. Next thing you know, he's going to trade for Oscar Klefbom. You're like, yeah, all the good contracts.
Oh, sweet mama, Peter, you've made a mistake.
He could trade for David Clarkson.
You know what? I think I'm gonna try and tweet Hextall and Bob Murray and just be like, hey guys, Vinny LeCavalier really likes the ocean. You should make it happen.
Hey, Anaheim, I hear that you have a really good defense in Hampus Lindholm. We have a very terrible forward in Tyler Bozak. You want him?
Come on. Hey, one of our favorite players, or everyone's favorite player, Steven Stamkos. Obviously, but Steven Stamkos hit 500 points.
500 points. Good for him.
And
that was on a Steven Stamkos-esque goal.
Yeah, most of them are goals, yeah. He has 278 goals in 495 games played.
No, I mean, like, it was on a Steven Stamkos-esque goal where he just was at the top of the circle and put a slap shot in.
Yeah. Hey, you want to hear an awesome stat from Ryan Suter?
Sure.
Okay, he hit 300 assists in 750 games played. How many goals do you think Suter has in his career?
37.
Ooh, going a little low. I'll give you one more.
78.
Okay, easy. He's a defenseman, you monster. He got 52 goals. 52.
Okay.
52 goals, 300 assists.
That's impressive, to say the least.
Oh, Craig. Okay, we got to... I don't know if you have anything to finish off on. But
I have something to finish up on, but you can go ahead.
Okay, well, this is my last news. Stop the presses. Everybody. In Ottawa, calm down. Erik Karlsson, cut the flow.
What?
Greg, you didn't see it? He cut his hair off.
No.
Google it right now. I need a live reaction. He chopped it off. It's gone.
Erik Karlsson.
And this is just a reminder to everyone listening in, that the world's a cold place. Okay? There's no rainbows and puppies. It's just full of dark, horrible things. Like, no, I don't want to live in a world where Erik Karlsson doesn't have flow. How am I supposed to distinguish him on the ice to everyone else now?
He looks a lot like Alexander Vermistrov.
Side-by-side comparison?
I think you should side-by-side comparison.
Okay.
It's scary.
Give me one moment, please.
The last bit of news that I have is, I know it's not hockey related, but congratulations to the Chicago Cubs going to the NLCS.
What? No, real?
They've been there since 2003.
I didn't know they advanced today. My phone's been broken all day. Really?
Yep.
Yeah! Oh, the Cubbies. Oh, nice.
So they'll either play the Mets or the Dodgers. Currently, the Dodgers are beating the Mets, but I don't know how you can't root for the Chicago Cubs. They haven't won a World Series in over 108 years.
We got to cheer for the Stros and Cubbies.
Forever. They haven't won forever. Like, literally, in people's lifetimes, have passed without the Cubs winning a World Series.
Oh, this is awesome.
If they win it.
You know what? That's it. We're changing our podcast to Last Man to Win the World Series. Cubbies. Cubbies. Until the Cubs lose, we're doing a Cubby update.
Okay.
And you have it right on point. Greg, you know what? This is for everyone. I'm going to get you to do 2 side-by-side comparisons. Okay. Brandon Saad, side-by-side with the WWE Superstar Heavyweight World Champion, Seth Rollins. And one more.
I don't do Google searches of Seth Rollins.
Okay, that's fine. Matthew Perreault, side-by-side with Roman Reigns. You should probably Google that one. All right, okay. Greg, what are you going to close us off with? You close us out here. We're already running long.
So, for the first edition of the election, the bottom 5 teams in the NHL.
So it is the election. It is the election. I thought you didn't like that.
For right now, it's the election.
Oh, okay.
Are all from the Eastern Conference. So, in 26th place, Carolina Hurricanes, Pittsburgh Penguins in 27th, New Jersey Devils in 28th, Columbus Blue Jackets in 29th, and the Boston Bruins in 30th. So there you go. thank you for listening to episode number 62 of Last Man In Podcast. We thank you for joining us today. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please email us at lastmanin@gmail.com or tweet us at lastmaninpc on the Twitter. And also comment down low on YouTube. Last week we had a YouTube comment asking us, how many goals do you think Mark Scheifele will score? And going into today, before he didn't score in the New York Ranger game, was on pace for 82. So, Cam, realistic, you've seen him score 3 goals so far this season. How many goals is Scheifele going to score this year?
I got him at 25.
I've got him right around there as well. I say if he can break 25, it'd be tremendous, but I'm going to stretch it out and say he's going to get 30. If this can continue, bar an injury, of course.
There was one more comment by the same person, Jojo Brownie 57. Their prediction, bold, was Tyler Seguin, 56 goals. And I just want to say they wrote Seguin, awesome. I'm gonna write it like this now because he's so cool. But Segwin, get it, like Seguin, because I got it. Okay.
I got it too. Yeah. Thanks, Cam.
No problem. That's what I'm here for.
No problem. Yeah. So, any closing words, Cameron?
No, not really. I had all I had to say today, and I can't wait to redeem my Slurpee because I obliterated your competition.
Yeah, you really did. Where's Dan this week?
Dan is studying for midterms because he's a student and he wants to go places. And once Dan is what he is, we're gonna coattail off of him, and we're just gonna make him buy everything ever.
Sounds like a plan. I'm in for this. I am totally down. I have an announcement coming up in November for everybody on the podcast. So look forward to that in about a month and a half.
Wow, a month and a half long tease. That's great, Greg. That's great.
Hey, have you seen the cliffhanger that Suits left us on?
That the what is on?
The Suits have left us on.
I don't know what the Suits are.
Suits? You've never seen this TV show?
I don't watch TV. I'm on the internet too much.
Well, you can also watch it on the internet. There's 4 seasons on Netflix.
Greg, weren't you supposed to like? I wish I wrote this
into our new sponsor. Watch Suits on Netflix. If you watch it.
You'll never guess what happens in the next episode. Suits.
Netflix, where you can watch everything you want for a low price of only $8 a month. Please use promo code LastManIn.
Oh my God, we're gonna get sued. Please don't sue us, Netflix. I can barely afford my phone.
Don't actually use that at all. Do not use that code. We are just joking. We're pretending. But Netflix, hey, if you want to sponsor us, we'll show you out at the beginning, middle, and end of every podcast, if you'd like.
Greg will get a Netflix tattoo.
Or I will definitely get a Netflix tattoo.
Please don't. That was a lie as well.
Or if, Crave TV or Show Me want to, get in on this, I'm okay with that too. Or if you own a small business and you're looking for an advertisement on a podcast that gets around 100 listens a week, look us up. Yeah, we're more than willing to work with you.
And they're totally not our moms listening in 100 times. Totally not our moms.
I don't just keep pressing refresh on the YouTube link every time I watch it.
That's exactly what I do. Of course. All right, Greg. Let's pack this up.
Remember, guys, to eat your vegetables and fruits and to spay and neuter your pets.
All right, and with that, we're going to leave you. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.